This program is part of the Cosmic Potato Podcast Network. For more shows like this, visit our website at cosmicpotatonetwork.com.
Watching television, watching television. Watching television, watching television. I need all the image, I need all the sound. I know the info right into my mind.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Trial by Pilot. This is the show where we judge an entire series of television and the work of hundreds on one episode. I'm Bill Lynch.
I'm Elizabeth Lynch.
And Elizabeth picked the show for tonight's episode. We were going back and forth. I had a long list. I have this Excel spreadsheet that we look at, and Elizabeth said, stop looking, stop trying to decide. We are watching Vagrant Queen on the SyFy channel.
Yeah, I was all about it, guys. That's false. If you listen to the show, you know that. Absolutely is false. But there wasn't, I mean, you gave me a few options, right? And I think we were like, okay, I guess this one.
Yeah, we were between this and something else that looked bad.
Yeah.
I think. But this looked the worst. The worst? This looked the worst. This looked the worst.
The worst.
Worst?
This looked worse than the others, or this looked the worst?
This looked the worst.
This is the worser of them all. The baddest.
So I don't watch anything on SyFy Channel. We didn't get SyFy Channel up until about a week ago.
Right.
All I knew was that they made Sharknado and
Oh, that's right. That's where everyone watches.
and 7 sequels to Sharknado.
Right.
I didn't know anything about their original programming. I'm sure I've heard things in passing before, but I've never watched any of their original programming.
Yeah, other than those Sharknado movies, which are obviously, like deliberately bad, I also didn't know anything about it. Like, I just assumed that I think until we got into this podcast, just not being a fan of sci-fi, I just assumed that there was good sci-fi and that I just wasn't a fan of sci-fi. But now I know that there's no good sci-fi. None of it's good. It's all terrible.
Oh, man.
All of it. Name one good sci-fi thing.
Well, everyone always says some of the Star Trek series. However, a lot of people have told me how good Battlestar Galactica is.
Okay, yes, that's true. I think we've discussed that before.
Yeah. So Kelly, who has been a host on the podcast a couple times, really likes Battlestar Galactica. And Ken, our brother-in-law, is really into it. I think they have both requested to be on that episode. So maybe we can have them both over at the same night. I've never seen it, so I can't speak to how good it is. Firefly is one that a lot of people talk about, which I have seen and really enjoyed.
So what was good about it? And I don't know anything about Firefly.
It was only one season, and it was really like a Western set in space.
Okay.
Like, it was basically like a bunch of I don't know.
This is a question. Do I like Westerns? I don't know.
It was, you might like aspects of Firefly because it was campy in a good way.
Okay.
But again, it was sci-fi and action and everything else.
Where can I watch that now? Is that like on anything right now?
I don't know. I'm sure you can find it.
All right. I mean, that's true. I have heard a lot about that. So I guess there's some good stuff, but like we've talked about it over and over again because we haven't found a single good sci-fi show except for the pilot of the original Lost in Space.
Oh my gosh.
I loved that.
That was so ridiculous. So there's also a Battlestar Galactica board game, which has been famous for a very long time and is considered like one of the best social deduction games.
Okay. Why don't you own it yet?
I have other games that kind of fill that role, like Avalon. Do you remember Avalon?
Yeah.
The Resistance.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that same vein, but grander in scale, and it takes like hours and hours to play.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. But if the show is kind of like that, where you're not really sure who the humans are, and there's always like these questions and swerves, I think it could be interesting.
Okay.
That's kind of the way Westworld was for the first season.
Okay.
And I love that aspect of Westworld.
Would you consider that sci-fi? What do you consider Westworld?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, I'm being really judgy of an entire genre.
No, that didn't immediately spring to mind, but yeah, I don't see what else you would categorize it as.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Westworld's great. Season 3, I think, is starting this month. So...
Anyway, back to the show we watched.
All that said, Vagrant Queen does not belong in the conversation with those other shows.
Like, it was immediate. Right out of the gate, it was so bad. And I know you're going to go through and talk about, like, all the plot points or whatever. I mean, if there were any. I mean, there were. There was a story. It was just it was bad.
It was so bad. I held, what is that stupid CBS show? Living Biblically.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I held on to that for like almost a solid 2 years as the worst show I have ever seen on television. And I think Indebted came close to that. I don't think it was as bad, but it came close. And this...
blew them out of the water?
I don't know if I would go that far. I don't think you're remembering just how inept Living Biblically was. But
yeah, but this was
truly
Living Biblically was also embarrassing.
Yeah.
I was about to say it was embarrassing.
We might have to go back and watch both of the pilots again.
Do we have to?
No.
Let's just trust us that they were bad.
Yeah. So Vagrant Queen is based on a comic book series.
Because everything is.
Yeah. That I don't know much about. I just happened to see it as I was looking up stuff. We start on the planet Gallianox. And then in parentheses, another planet, not yours.
Which, like, right away, I was just like, oh, shut up. Like, I maybe...
The advertising for this show billed it as an action comedy. So whatever that means as a genre, that's what they were going for.
Sure.
Action comedy.
But I felt like right away it was like trying so hard to be funny.
Yeah.
And it was dumb.
Yeah, because she is a scavenger, like trying to find some piece of treasure. I won't even call it a MacGuffin because it doesn't actually serve any... Well, I guess it kind of is because it's just like driving the plot. It has nothing else going on for it. And she picks it up and she says, jackpot.
And it's like just this... this is the thing that bothers me about sci-fi. One of the things about like building these worlds is like, what the fuck was that thing? Like, it doesn't... it like nothing... Like, I can't relate to any of it because none of it is, like, actually, like, tangible in my real life. So it's just, like, this cylinder with, like, glowing green stuff. And she's like, jackpot. And we're supposed to be like, ooh, that's something cool and important. And it's just, like, it means nothing to me.
I mean, do you know, like, people joke about the MacGuffin all the time. I can't remember the origin of it now, but it's like in all of these action movies, there's like something, but it could be anything because it doesn't actually do anything. It's just what everyone is striving for and like trying to get their hands on or like whatever's driving the plot. It doesn't actually serve a purpose.
But like, it wasn't even, I felt like as the story went on, there wasn't even any like explanation as to like, that's just annoying to me because there's no explanation. And she goes and tries to like sell it to these guys. She's like, oh, we agreed on this price. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
That didn't bother me because that was, I mean, that aspect of it didn't bother me because that was the first 90 seconds of the show. It was just an intro.
Yeah.
It was just like introducing her character as the scavenger and getting her to this other
it just made me roll my eyes because I'm like, oh, there's a glowing green thing and she's an alien.
So her first line is jackpot, and then two other scavengers show up and they say, looks like we have some competition. And then she says, well, what do we have here? Those are the first three lines of the show. Yeah.
Except that she's like, I mean, I think her ears are weird or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But other than that, she's like human, like really like beautiful.
Yeah. They got like cheap prosthetic elf ears and then like cut them in half or something.
Right. But then, like, the other two scavengers that come up are, like, crazy, ridiculous-looking aliens. And they're like, look what we have here. And, like, in these, like, dumb voices. Like,
did you do voiceover work for this show?
Yeah. I've been meaning to tell you. When I came into that $180 last year, it's because of...
What? $180?
I'm just joking that they probably didn't get paid very much.
Okay.
What, $180?
I thought you were referencing an exact amount of money you made last year for something.
I think that used to be my monthly student loan payment. So it just like stuck out of my head. Anyway, it was just like so painful to watch because this like alien is trying to deliver these lines like he's some kind of jokester, like he's like a comedian and like telling these really bad jokes. I'm like, this writing is terrible, this acting is terrible. They had like a really, really bad fight scene to like get this thing back.
Yeah. See, here's the problem. This all boils down to the problem, which is if your show is an action comedy, it needs to be funny and have good action. This show didn't have either one.
Right. And it's just in the first scene.
Yeah, so just going back again, the first 3 lines of dialogue in the show are jackpot, looks like we have some competition, and well, what do we have here? None of those are original thoughts or lines. Like the most boring, cliched, unimaginative bullshit that you can put in these characters. So then, we get this fight scene. She throws some bladed weapon that chops this one guy's arm off, and he starts to scream as he's like looking down at his arm, back up at her, down at his arm, up at her, like trying to be funny. Mm-hmm. And then she's about to kill the second guy, and she says something stupid, and she goes, "I can think of a better one-liner than that." Whatever. And then she just kills him. Yeah.
It was delivered so poorly. All of it was delivered so poorly. In a way that I'm like, we've talked about this before. I feel bad sometimes for the actors on these bad shows because what are they even going to do with the writing, with the material that they're given?
Right.
Sometimes it's so bad.
Yeah, most of them are not established actors. They got a role. This woman got a starring role on a cable TV show. Yeah.
And every time we watch a show like this, I think about like when I used to audition and I would go to auditions for these things and I would be like, oh, okay, this, like I could just imagine the breakdown, on like the casting site, lead, 20s to 30s, like young ingenue. Okay, I could do that. And it's like, show, and it'll say a description of the show, like on the SyFy network or whatever. And you'd think like, all right, a leading role in a show. Like, would I have ever turned that down? Absolutely not.
Yeah, certainly not.
I would have taken it.
But also you're a better actress than this woman is.
Well, thank you. But the writing was so bad. Like, what would I think about that? I'm trying to put myself in the shoes. Like, what would I have even been able to do with that? And how much time do they even have to work on the material? That's the other thing. Yeah. Like, maybe they're like, all right, that was good. Let's go. Like, you have so little control.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
They're just rushing through.
It was really bad.
So the next setting is a space station, and they constantly show this space station from outer space, and there's just like glowing neon clouds.
Oh my God.
Everywhere in this galaxy.
It's like someone add more effects.
Yeah.
More graphics. And it's like, what is this?
Yeah, there's just like giant pink spaces in outer space. It was so weird.
So they're on this space station. Were they in one place the whole time?
Yes.
And what is a space station? It seemed like it was like a whole like city. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like a giant hub for intergalactic travel. So like everyone going from planet to planet is stopping at the space station to refuel their ships and get drinks or whatever.
Because I was like trying to relate it again to real life and I couldn't. I'm like, what would this be? Like, because there is no intergalactic travel in real life.
It's like the little roadside town in the middle of Colorado or something. Like when you're traveling to Denver and you just have to stop for a night. Yeah.
I just like couldn't.
Is that relatable?
Sure. I've never been to Denver, but I get it. I just like, remember when we tried to drive all the way through the night from San Francisco to Reno?
Oh, what a terrible idea.
And then we had to stop at like some little like roadside motel. We were like, let's see if they have any vacancies.
Yeah, because I was definitely going to fall asleep.
Yeah, that was bad. We're like, we're just going to go. And I remember before we left, I think it was like my dad was like, are you sure? Like, I have the AAA books for you. Do you want to find us? Do you want to find a place? Like, no, Dad, we're just going to drive through the night. We'll be fine. Because we'd like done it before to like Florida or something.
with four people alternating driving.
Right. It was just the two of us after like a flight. Anyway.
Yeah.
I digress. But
So-
yes, it is relatable. Now I understand.
So they're on the space station. Elizabeth, you mentioned that, she gets ripped off in exchange for whatever it is she found.
Yeah.
We find out that the bartender there is this old friend of hers, and he has her meet up with his sister, who's willing to help fix her ship for really cheap. She's, I don't know, some kind of spaceship mechanic. And the Republic boards the station looking for a fugitive. And, there's like one guy in black and then a bunch of like nondescript black soldier looking guys with helmets. They all look exactly the same. They're like stormtroopers, but a worse design.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a fugitive, and the bartender brings Alita, which is the name of the protagonist, somewhere in the back, and we see a hooded figure stand up and follow them.
Like, not discreet at all. Like, it was so obvious.
It also turns out to be completely pointless because we don't see him again until like he just reveals himself. So like him like secretly like moving through the shadows following them meant nothing. Then we just go through some scenes of this like Republic leader, like the bad guy, interacting with people on the space station, and every character is just so ridiculous. Everyone takes on like the same affectation, like trying to be funny, quote unquote.
I wrote, we'll all just be funny by acting like crazy people.
Right.
Like, but when people are trying to be funny and they do really like bad voices.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's just so many television channels and streaming services and so much TV being produced. My question was like, how could they not find any talented people? Like no one on this show was funny. Wasn't there one person that could like add a little spark of humor to the show? Everyone was so bad.
And I was even so like disappointed when I realized, because there's this one guy on it and I was like trying to place him. I was like, where do I know that guy from? Like, what soap opera did I see him on? What commercial? Like, where?
One of the many soap operas you watched.
Where did I see it? Right. Like, but he had that look. And then we realized he was from...
We realized?
Well, you realized.
I knew the whole time.
You knew the whole time. I was like, who is that guy? Why do I know him? Why he looks so familiar? And he was Mutt?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mutt from Schitt's Creek. And I was like, oh. Because, like, when I think about it, he wasn't, like, anything fantastic on Schitt's Creek or anything. He was, like, just whatever. But I was so disappointed because I'm like, God, he's not good. Like, he's so bad. With nothing to work with. He was fine in Schitt's Creek because the writing was good and everything else around him was like he didn't need to be anything.
Well, yeah,
other.
he was
like,
in scenes with Alexis.
Right, exactly. He was just supposed to like be like this like hot, object of her affection and like kind of like a mellow guy, and that's what he was. He like could not carry a scene.
Yeah. Also, there's a bunch of bandits that have guns that literally look like Nerf guns that they taped glue sticks onto. Then we get a flashback. 8 years ago, the Republic boards a different space station with Alita on it, and as she is running to escape, they kill her mother as she's launched into space. Then back in present day, whatever, doesn't matter.
Right.
She's being chased by one of these soldiers, and she like jumps down a garbage chute, which for some reason has a giant window so you can watch the garbage get compacted. And the soldier like shows up outside the window, and he turns off the gravity, so she like floats up, and then like 6 pieces of trash float up, but everything else remains on the floor. There's like just a giant floor of trash that isn't affected by this gravity.
Okay, I had a big question about gravity.
Uh-oh.
And I guess I never really thought about this, because I guess this would apply to every show in space. Why is like how is there gravity? On the space, isn't there no gravity in space? But like on the space station, they can just walk around.
Artificial gravity. You have it in real life spaceships and space stations.
I thought whenever you see someone like an astronaut, they're always floating around.
You do, but there's artificial gravity too.
Okay, well that just seems
they're not
a
like
little...
that the entire time.
Oh,
those are just the sexy shots
of them floating around.
Yeah.
All right, well I didn't know that because it occurred to me partway through. I'm like, how are they? It just didn't make any sense, especially with that garbage chute scene. Like, there's gravity sometimes and then there's not other times. Like,
Right,
why?
right. No, that could theoretically be a thing.
All right, fine. I mean, suppose it could be a rule of this world.
Yeah. So the soldier has some ridiculous line about like, oh yeah, if I kill you, then I won't have to drive around with Malcolm anymore. Oh, Malcolm's always doing this, blah, blah, blah. Like just another trying to be funny.
Yeah.
With the same kind of voice. And then in comes the guy from Schitt's Creek to save her. And we find out they have a past together.
Yeah, of course they do.
But then she gut punches him as she leaves.
They had such a painful scene together that was actually like multiple scenes because they kept cutting back to it of the two of them just like basically circling each other and like talking about their past. And when you're kind of like, okay, like I guess, or like talking around their past.
Yeah. Well, we hear in many, many scenes that he shot her at some point. Like literally shot her.
I must have missed that when I fell asleep. I'm just going to be honest.
God.
I fell asleep at one point.
They mentioned it in almost every scene that they were in together.
I was so confused by a lot of what was going on, and that's why I fell asleep.
Okay. I don't know what was confusing about it. It wasn't that deep or confusing of a show.
I think, do you know what it was? I had a really hard time following like where we even were. I didn't really understand what the space station was, and like I knew that there was a nightclub, but then like the entire space station looked like a nightclub.
Okay.
And I was like, where are we?
Well, it's because they
she
had
was
two
like,
sets to work with.
Right. She was like walking on sand in the first scene, like some sand planet, which really just looked like she was like under a boardwalk somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it was.
That was
It was
filmed in
there's
Atlantic
like a big
City.
yeah, exactly. I couldn't place like where anything was and where they were walking to. The world didn't make any sense to me. I had no sense of where we were.
Yeah. You were somewhere on a space station.
I guess
there was
so.
some cold metal.
Yeah,
on the wall.
There was cold metal.
So then, she gut punches this guy and goes to leave, and she pulls up this hood to like as a disguise, but the hood doesn't even reach like her face. It's just like a half hood.
Right. So you can see her distinct ears still.
So then a secret rebellion is there and knows that she's the true queen, and they've been searching for her for whatever 8 years. And one of the people in the secret rebellion is like a 3-foot human dog.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I don't even know what they were going for with this. It kind of looked like Barf from Spaceballs. If you remember him at all.
Yeah.
Like just really simplistic dog, like half brown face, half white face. Except this guy was like 3 feet tall and had like a really high pitched voice.
Yeah.
Nim was his name.
Yeah.
And so they bond. Nim cooks her some food, and then Isaac, who's played by the guy from Schitt's Creek, saves the mechanic from 2 guards. So now we have like our 2 pairs of the team. And the Republic is using the bartender as bait. And Isaac knows that Alita won't leave him, so they disguise themselves in Republic guard costumes. And
Classic.
yeah. But the Loyalists take Alita hostage to be sure that she escapes with them. And they're like super creepy about it. They're like, you must produce an heir. We must continue the royal line.
Oh yeah, they were weird.
Yeah, but she gets out, and then Nim helps her escape further. So eventually they all end up in guard disguises. They meet up, the 2 pairs, and they realize that they're all working on the same side, more or less. And they are about to get on the ship to escape, but she's not going to let Isaac on because he shot her at some point. They bring it up again, and they like keep talking about it. And finally he says, wait, I have something to tell you about your mother. She's alive. And he pulls out her mom's locket that we saw in one of the flashbacks and says he'll help her get to her mom. And then there was a commercial, which I thought was the end of the show, but sadly it wasn't.
Right.
And then we get a laser tag scene.
Oh my God, it literally looks like laser tag.
It really did. Until there's like a standoff, and
Which I would have been okay with if the show was actually funny. And it just ended up being like, that's how they fought in that world. Like in Bugsy Malone, they like fought with like pies, you know, like whipped cream
Yeah.
pies. It would have been funny, but like nothing else about the show was funny, so it just made it look like bad production value.
Yeah.
You know?
So then the dog pulls out some device and goes, "Nim make boom," and there is a very, I stress the word very, small shower of like sparks.
Yeah. This is the time that they could have used those bad graphics of like flashing lights.
Right.
But like they didn't, and then we're supposed to believe that killed him or injured him.
No. This is when he like throws this at a bunch of the bad guys, and they all like go flying. And then as they're about to escape, the big bad guy shows up, shoots Nim, and is like holding him and asking for a trade for Alita. Like, we'll give you the dog guy for her, but he sacrifices himself with another grenade.
Oh, okay.
Again, like it looked like a Roman candle size shower of sparks. Like, not even like the thing that shoots out of the Roman candle, just like the sparks that come out of it. That was the size of this explosion, and it was supposed to have been this big self-sacrifice where he kills himself and a bunch of other people. It was so bad. So they take off and get away, and I don't even know what the fuck I wrote here. I put in quotes, "I truly have no idea." They look surprised, and we're like, huh. I don't know what the fuck that means.
I can't help you there. I don't remember.
Oh. I remembered. I was typing notes, and I missed like the last minute, and I said, "What happened?" And you said, "I truly have no idea."
Yeah, I remember this now.
And then the last scene, because the last scene is all of them looking really surprised and going, huh? But I didn't know why they were doing that, and neither did you.
I had no idea.
And we didn't rewind because who fucking cares?
Who cares? Don't watch this show. I don't recommend it.
There was nothing redeeming about it. The bad stuff wasn't so bad it was funny. The funny stuff wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Production value was terrible.
The only redeeming thing about this,
Ooh.
I found one thing.
Okay.
It just makes me want to watch Spaceballs, which actually was
Oh.
action comedy.
Yeah. That's good sci-fi.
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
All right. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I don't think it's worth watching this.
I mean, we have watched other shows where the writing is just terrible and the directing is terrible, and we can tell, but we're not really sure if that's affecting the actors.
Right.
Or like, you can't really tell how good the actors are.
Yeah.
In this, I felt like you could kind of tell.
Yeah.
They really didn't have any quality actors on this
Yeah.
show. I mean, there wasn't a lot of talent. So that paired with terrible writing and directing and bad production value. Wow. I mean, it's one of the worst shows we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think it's
Might be the worst.
I don't know. I'm not ready to say that.
Okay.
I'm not ready to say it was worse than Living Biblically, but it's certainly
I
in my
know.
bottom three.
Yeah.
Certainly in my bottom three.
Ugh. I honestly don't even know what else to say about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. It was bad.
Yeah,
I don't
I mean-
recommend it. I don't know anything about SyFy Channel, so I have no idea if this will get a second season. I don't know what I haven't heard of anything else on their network other than Sharknado. So I clearly have no idea, but I don't think it should get a second season.
Yeah, it should not.
But what does it matter? Who cares?
I just don't understand. Are people, I guess the answer is yes. Are people so desperate for sci-fi that they will watch this? I guess the answer is yes.
I guess so. I mean, there's a whole network for it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oye.
Not our thing. So glad we have real cable now that we can get the Sci-Fi network.
We'll find something on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about this show. Let's not belabor this.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no recommendations, no second season. You got to predict. No? I say no.
Okay, no. Sure. Oh, no, I'm yes, just to disagree with you.
Whoa. You guys heard
I
it here
don't think
first.
it should, but
Big
maybe
bet. Big
Sci-Fi
bet.
is so bad. I mean, they made so many Sharknadoes. Maybe they just make bad things.
Yeah, and I mean, people must watch those Sharknadoes just to laugh at how bad they are.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with this.
Right, because it's not even funny.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, one of the things with with Sharknado is that it's like some of your favorite like old like washed up stars in it.
True.
This doesn't have anybody in it. There's nothing.
Just future washed up
Yeah.
actors. All right, everybody. If you have suggestions on shows for us to watch, you can email us at trialbypilot@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at trialbypilot. And go on to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. Subscribe to the show and leave a review.
Oh, and thank you to the Beats for providing our theme music.
Thanks, Beats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Watching